What is up, YouTube, and welcome to this Uncharted ending and post-credit scenes explained. Uncharted is of course based on the amazing series of games, which are possibly some of my favourite games of all time. Now, this movie is notably a prequel to the first game, Uncharted Drake's Fortune, and the post-credit scene actually may directly lead into that game. Originally in the games, Nate and Sully met in Colombia when Nate wanted to steal the ring that he had in his movie. Now, Sam was also in prison at that time as well, so he goes solo. However, here, the movie opens with a similar-ish level as we saw in Uncharted 4, where Sam and Nate escape their children's home, and instead of going to a museum, they go to a family home from their past. In the movie, Sam and Nate search for the Magellan treasure, which wasn't in the games and is pretty much like a new thing here, a new chapter to tell, but it was indeed a real character in history. Of course, Uncharted likes to take liberties. Now, the kids are caught looking at the map and Sam is supposed to be taken to jail. He gives Nate the ring from the games and also a lighter which Sam has in Uncharted 4, which is just as dodgy. He's also wearing the young Nate baseball shirt under his clothes, which Nate gets later in the movie, and he wears in the kind of prequel scene we have in Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception, which is pretty cool. Also in the suitcase when Nate looks at it are postcards and a Naughty Dog sticker, which is of course the makers of the games, but you knew that already, didn't you? It soon turns out that Nate grows up and becomes a bartender and pickpocket, but still retained his history knowledge and meets Sully. Sully doesn't have his moustache, but we'll get it later. It's markedly different here, but kind of similar, as he did pickpocket a woman, sort of, which was Marlowe in the original game in the flashback. Now, the plan here is to steal one of the keys needed to find the treasure that was left behind after Magellan died, and 18 people went on to kind of hide it. It's personal, as Sam and Nate wanted to find this treasure, and it turns out that Sully originally worked with Sam, but he was supposedly shot by Braddock, who's working for the family, who originally commissioned Magellan's trip to the house of Mikado. They've funded everyone evil in the world, and the father of the house wants to make amends and give it away. But his son, who I will refer to as Mikado here throughout the video, is a douchebag and wants to find the treasure which he believes is rightfully his. One of these keys which is needed to find it is at an auction, which is pretty much a take on the auction house in Uncharted 4, except there is no Sam here. Nate orders a martini, which is of course an homage to James Bond, as we're doing like a whole thing here with tuxes. But the movie was originally pitched as a young James Bond by Tom Holland. Of course, we had the young James Bond cartoons, which I loved as a kid, but I'm not sure how they held up now. Now, this all goes south, but they eventually get the other key and they head to Spain where they meet Chloe Fraser, originally played by Claudia Black in Uncharted 2. And I will admit, I am a Claudia Black simp. And she was a love interest of Nate. Very forward. She's very different here in the movie, but I thought that the actress did do a good job. She's just as dodgy as Sully, and she steals the key before realizing that Nate knows more than him. In the games, he pretty much leads everyone around, as he has the most knowledge on pretty much everything. The trio head around Barcelona to find the clues to where the gold is, and eventually find an old Roman storehouse which has loads of salt and reminded me of like Assassin's Creed Valhalla there. But they also find the map where the treasure is, and Chloe double-crosses him, planting the seeds of doubt between him and Sully by asking him about, of course, his brother. Turns out she was working for Mikado all along, and he hired her the same day as Braddock to split the efforts. Braddock is angry that she has been demoted and kills Mikado on the plane after Chloe has located where the treasure is, but it's not really there. In an homage to Uncharted 3 Drake's Deception, Nate is aboard the plane, and Sully and all hell breaks loose as they escape the plane instead of landing in the desert in the games. Chloe and him land in the sea and then wash up on an all-inclusive resort. It's here we see the game actor Nolan North say that, well, that happened to me too, which is, well, that's pretty clever. A nice touch there. And, well, Yes, it turns out that the keys create a compass, which was found out in a secret message on the postcards that Sam has been sending him for jail. Now, Nate leaves fake coordinates, knowing that Chloe will possibly trick him, which he or she does. Very similar to Uncharted 4, they all head, or at least Nate and Sully, head to the boats, which have all of the treasure. Except it doesn't fly across the jungle in Uncharted 4, it just sets alight where they have a sword fight, which was pretty much hinted here when Nate did mention getting a sword. The fight scene is very, very good as Nate gets his signature clothes, gets the iconic holsters, and manages to fight like the real Nate. I like how Nate was clumsy and falls over and kind of isn't like the perfect kind of, I would say, Tomb Raider here, which was pretty cool, pretty much in keeping with the movie. The pair survive and the bond is formed as they escape. We get a cool mid-credits scene as we see Sam and how he's been writing the postcards to him. Now, Sully knew about these, and I wonder if he knew that he wasn't actually properly dead. In Uncharted 4, Sam and Nate break into a prison for Henry Avery's treasure. On the escape, which is set before the first game, Sam is shot, presumed dead, which is used as a plot point for this movie. He'd be patched up and put in prison, which is what we pretty much saw here, and busted out by Rafe, who was the villain there, who is a gigantic douchebag. However, the next movie or post-credit scene is set up in the post-credit scene, where Gage, an original character, wants to buy the ring. This is essentially the opening of Uncharted 3, however that was in a pub in London, and boy howdy did I like that game, but I don't think a lot of people did. Here it is being used as a kind of trick to get a Nazi treasure map, and the name Roman is dropped, which could be Gabriel Roman, who was the villain from the first game, and Gage could also possibly be a variation of Lazarevich, the villain from the second game, maybe. However, they escape as Sully has the moustache, and it's alluded that they have a plane, which is the Hog Wild from the first games. Overall, I thought this was really good. I think Tom Holland was great. It might be the best movie I've seen of him outside of Spider-Man, and I think that Mark Wahlberg was superb. I think it was a decent enough adaptation, but this is coming from the guy who really liked the Assassin's Creed movie. But hey, I'm an Assassin's Creed stan. But I had fun. I was entertained. At the end of the day, that's all that matters, I think. But I do not like the trend of characters becoming the characters at the end of the movie. That's something which I'm a bit bored of. But that is it for this video. Please do drop a like down below. Do subscribe with notifications on if you want more from us. And I'll see you soon, and goodbye.